So what originally spurred this train of thought is the role of analysis and how far it can take you. But it actually brought to mind the core principles of Gautama Buddha's teaching, because I think it's important that you should know this, so that you can understand how all these different elements that you're cultivating, how far they can help you, and to what extent. It should be known that finding a solution rarely depends upon just one singular ingredient. It's usually a fusion of many ingredients working together to bring about a solution that can be much more long-lasting and enduring. So with Gautama Buddha's teaching, you can take his teaching and really dissect it to death, like dissect it into so many different compartments, and it becomes more and more complex. And in fact, there's a very wide spectrum of ideas and teachings that he has covered, not just relating to how you should conduct yourself in this life, but even having to do with ideas about rebirth into the future life, and what are the causes and effects that give rise to different rebirths and different categories of existence. All of that, it can get quite complex. So you can dissect it to death, but if you want to simplify it, you can reduce really the entire bulk of Gautama Buddha's teaching to three main components. One is called Sila. Sila is very similar to some of the points that we've talked about with the yamas and the niyamas of Patanjali's yoga. It's dealing with morality and moral observances. Of course, one can argue and you can say, all morality is relative and all of that. And you can philosophize back and forth. But all the lines of evidence seem to point that there is a moral structure that humanity has inherited for evolutionary reasons, because by coordinating together, not killing and murdering each other, it ensures better social stability. And you even see some elements of that morality with other animals. Like, haven't you seen some of these videos, like on YouTube? You've seen these videos of animals rescuing other animals and those kind of things. And where does that come from? I mean, what gives the impulse? And you see it in so many different species. Where does that come from? And it also is something that can be known as the mind becomes more and more cleansed through meditation, that as there comes a weakening of the influence of the ego over the mind, these other side effects arise just naturally and spontaneously on their own. So you suddenly find that you're becoming more empathetic, for example. The less the authority of your ego has over you, the more mental flexibility you may have. And because of that mental flexibility, you're able to assume another person's perspective and see what is his inner world, where is he coming from. And that empathy contributes to your compassion, you see. So weakening the influence of the ego does give rise eventually to what can be called moral qualities. And that's without reading any philosophy about morality and all of that nonsense. So when Gautama Buddha talks about Sila, it's really something that's very deeply rooted in human nature. It's not like it's his opinion about, okay, this is what it means to be moral in the world, you see? So now this moral way of being, you see, without a moral way of being, it's very difficult to have a certain sense of purpose and meaning to one's life. And maybe that's what could be lacking in your case. Because, at least I know this for myself, I found that what I can make the best use of this mind and body is in a way that it's beneficial to other people. Because I know inevitably one day this body is going to die, that's for certain, and it's going to die soon. It's a short amount of time. Like, look at the life expectancy. People, it's on average like 71 point something. They it can be estimated to 75 years. That's such a short time. It's like, okay, think about like 10 years of age. Okay, think of it in terms of decades. 20 years age, 30 years of age. Oh, I'm almost halfway there. 40 years. It's like, what is 75 years in the scheme of eternity? It's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that people have to live only to 75 years, but remember, like the World Health Organization says that stress is the #1 health epidemic in the world. So people, they can't conceive, they don't know what they're doing to themselves. Like the stress is accelerating the aging process. It's making the human system more and more susceptible to mental and physical disease. And they're literally killing themselves slowly, draining their lives because of stress. So, to live in this world with mental tranquility is of absolute importance. But, yes, for sure, this life is going to end soon. So what I do for myself, exclusively for myself, I take it with me to the grave. But what I do for others leaves behind at least a body of work which can continue. And when I say like being of benefit to human well-being, it doesn't mean you have to conduct fireworks. It doesn't mean you have to have this enormous, big production. It could mean something as simple as just raising a child, but raising him in the right way and instilling in him qualities which can be beneficial potentially for generations. Like, how did your parents impose what they have learned? They learned it. They imposed it upon you. Where did they get it from? They got it from their parents. Those parents got it from their parents. So it's this cultural transmission that's been passing down through centuries and centuries. So if you raise one child, but instilling in him the right kind of qualities, you're potentially benefiting generations of human beings. You see? And that's what is that? It's not making fireworks, you see? When a human being does not feel a greater sense of purpose, a purpose in which he knows he's connected to a much larger whole, life becomes dark and nihilistic. And that's the trap that, unfortunately, many people have gotten themselves caught into. It's a trap which could be neutralized by, first of all, cultivating a greater and greater sense of compassion. That's why I've recommended the practice to you. But you really have to find a way to discover your own voice as to, at least if I was going to recommend something for you, to find your own voice. How can you contribute to the human well-being in this life? What is your calling? What is it because it's not only benefiting other people. I mean, you're also benefiting from that process. You're also seeing, oh wow, it's so gratifying to contribute to other humans' well-being. It's incomparable. It's incomparable.